for him to prepare for what I'm going to bring to the table, and I'm just too sharp, too clean, punch way too hard, power in both hands.
I was streaming, I just shut the curtains because I was like nervous type stuff, but now it's like I embrace it because I always dreamed of this. That's why I don't never shy away from it. That's what I'm here to do, you know what I mean, to show out, so.
Tank's a 3-division world champion, 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him.
In the electrifying special All Access, Jake Paul vs. Gervonta Davis Face to Face interview full episode fight preview.
I know what I've learned in the past year with my new coaches, the shape I'm in, the power I possess, and
tensions reached new heights as two of boxing's biggest headline grabbers sat across from each other in what felt like a collision of two worlds, one of pure, battle-tested skill, and the other of self-made celebrity turned legitimate contender.
His training is taking a toll, but the cure is just as bitter as what ails him.
I know I gotta do it. 5 minutes?
5 will be good enough for you.
They definitely went to the kids store and get this.
That water ain't cold. We know that.
I know, but...
Get in the water, man. Just get in the water.
You can't sit on the edge.
Man, just get in there, man.
Go. No, give me the top.
Under the intense lights of the studio, hosted by an unflinching moderator, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation from the very first second. Gervonta "Tank" Davis, the undefeated knockout machine known for his ruthless precision and compact explosiveness, sat calm and composed, his eyes coldly studying Jake Paul across the table.
That are much heavier than him. And, man, that uppercut, damn.
Well, who do you got?
I would have to bet on Gervonta because for all the little things, all that, and the fact that he's not old.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he makes up for the weight situation.
Okay, so this is the first time that Jake Paul's fighting an actual boxing champion, an active, young boxing champion. Everyone else he's fought was either way older or like, was it Tommy Fury, I think?
Yeah, he was a legitimate boxer. Yeah.
A legitimate boxer, but not a champion.
Right.
He's fighting a champion, although a very little champion compared to him.
Yes.
So this is sort of a, I don't know, man, like.
If it wasn't Gervonta Davis, and it was somebody else in that weight category.
It'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, it'd be ridiculous. But Gervonta, I mean, his technique-wise and heart-wise, that makes it interesting. Like, again, kudos goes to Jake Paul because it kind of worked its way up, even though the guy is so much smaller.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm happy that Jake is bringing excitement to the sport and so forth, but you just have these, like, people fighting bears and, you know, there might be a boxing match with a weapon involved of some sort, like people have sticks. Like, I feel it's just getting more and more ridiculous. And really outside of Crawford Canelo, there's really very little excitement.
Jake, meanwhile, leaned back in confidence, smirking slightly, wearing that familiar mix of bravado and defiance that has carried him from YouTube fame to professional fight cards against real boxers. What unfolded over the next hour was part psychological warfare, part masterclass in hype building, and part raw honesty about two men with completely different paths to the same destination, the squared circle.
This fight, he's undefeated, highly skilled, most experienced fighter I've fought, top 5 pound for pound. So I have to have the best version of myself. I know how fast he is. I know how strong he is. I believe I'm stronger, more athletic, and that's my advantage going into the fight, but he pretty much has every other advantage. So I'm locked in, fully focused, feeling amazing already, and just going to put on a performance and have the biggest fight of 2025.
Last one, I've seen some people say, oh, you know, Jake, you know, the goal here is just to survive. Knowing you, that's not the case. You're not going in there to get through 12 rounds with Tank Davis. I would imagine you're going in there to win this fight.
Oh, absolutely. Tank's going to be the one surviving. I'm going to, you know, upset a lot of people. And again, they're going to have to say that there's some crazy excuse, fights are rigged, They can't use the steroid excuse because we have full-on random drug testing at any time. They could literally knock on my door right now. So they can't use that excuse. And obviously I'm suing people who say that the fights are rigged. Piers Morgan already had to retract his statement and kiss the ring. More lawsuits are coming for these people who are lying on my name because it's just simply not true. And we're willing to prove that in court. But I'm actually flattered that the only thing that people can chalk up these wins to is that the fights are rigged, because it's honestly the greatest compliment. But again, I'm going to knock this guy out and probably...
Davis, dressed sharply in black, spoke softly but with menace, making it clear that he didn't see Jake as a real threat but rather as a loud kid stepping into a lion's den. His tone never rose, but his words carried weight.
Was at cruiserweight. Chavez Jr. was a former world champion at middleweight himself, and that sort of made sense. And it was a good win for Jake Paul. You know, he come out there and he beats an ex-world champion. He gets a little bit of credibility, and you go, right, now you're heading in the right direction. You're starting to be okay, all right. Former champions, former fighters, but at least they're boxers. They're not MMA stars, and whatnot. So. Yeah, I think that was a move in the right direction. Gervonta Davis is just a little bit of a freak show for me.
Yeah, I agree, Spence. I mean, the size difference is a bit of an annoying one as well. But also as well, I hate when they put exhibition in it, because then you think how seriously they're really going to take it. I understand it because of the money involved, but realistically, if there can be a winner, Gervonta Davis should take him out, regardless of the size, pretty easily and pretty quickly.
I agree, mate. Totally agree. Gervonta Davis is an active fighter. Like I say, still a pound-for-pound star. Very heavy-handed as well. He should have the movement, forget the size, to be able to slip inside and take Jake Paul out. That's the reality of it. But, yeah, I just find it all very, very strange. Look, I thought an even stranger fight, to be honest, was Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. You look at that fight and go, who's going to sanction that? God forbid something happens to Jake. I think that what he's doing for the sport is brilliant in his own right. He's bringing new fans into the sport. He's doing excellent for women's boxing as well. You can't take that away from the kid, and he's been working hard as well, and he's improving. But going in against Anthony Joshua, a former two-time world heavyweight champion and still an active fighter, that's a suicide mission for me. I think that Anthony Joshua, when you look at Francis Ngannou and look at what AJ does to Francis Ngannou, who would win out of Anthony Joshua?
Jake Paul fired back with equal conviction, saying he respected Davis as a fighter but that the new generation doesn't care about your records, they care about who dares to take risks, positioning himself as the risk-taker ready to shock the world once again. As the conversation deepened, the interviewer brought up their training camps, asking about the mental and physical preparation.
He's smaller, but he's a top fighter, he can punch. And he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin? It'll wind up selling. And that's what'll wind up selling it. The what if. What if Tank makes him do a cha-cha? He hits him on the chin, and Jake Paul, we're going to find out if he can dance. Whoa. Do the cha-cha. That's what's going to sell it. And you can't argue that what if. You can't. I know I get to places that other people won't go and everything else, that just dismiss stuff because it's easier to do that. It's safer to do that. You don't have the bows and arrows coming at you from people that argue with you because you did that. But I don't care. I've had bows and arrows my whole life. I don't care. But that's true. That what if? What if this guy who is a real good puncher, who is one of the best fighters in the world right now, what if he hits him? What if he makes a miss and he counters him? Or he jumps up in the air. Bang! And he hits him. Sid Terrace was a great fighter. No, not the 1700s, but years ago. And Cus D'Amato told me he loves Sid Terrace. He said, Teddy, he used to jump up in the air and hit you with 3 jabs. I said, whoa, man, Sid Terrace. All right, anyway, look, I can't finish without saying that it did invoke some memories and thoughts that we've been here before in a different way, where Jake Paul's brother fought Mayweather. That's not forget. And I'm not saying I like that either. I mean, first of all, Mayweather was past his prime. He was already retired. He was older, everything, but he's still the great Mayweather. And Mayweather was fighting a guy, what was it, 50-pound difference, 60-pound difference, whatever it was. And that size made a difference. It allowed Jake Paul's brother to be in there and be able to last with a smaller man, a smaller, older, greater fighter who's mostly was concentrating on defense more than just offense. So, yeah, it's kind of like we've seen this already in that version of it, and we didn't really like it. I don't think I liked it that much.
Davis, ever confident, revealed glimpses into his preparation with coach Calvin Ford, saying his focus wasn't on Jake but on being the best version of himself, emphasizing that timing beats power, and skill beats hype every day. Jake countered that narrative by talking about his grueling training under BJ Flores and the addition of elite sparring partners, noting that he's not here to survive, but to surprise.
Jake Paul might be too big for him, or Tank might crack him. You don't know. Like I said, or as an exhibition, we don't know if they throw at each other or not, or we don't know. I don't know. I can't give an opinion because I don't know what's going on.
Do you think it impacts, will it impact Tank's legacy if Jake Paul were, to beat him or even, knock him out?
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him.
You know, some people trying to give, that's fair, some people trying to give Tank a hard time. They're saying, he should have took a fight with Lamont Roach or Shakur Stevenson. But when you think about it, do you think this is business and look, he's getting a bag, or is there some validity to people saying that he ducked Roach?
I mean, there's still other options, It's bro, you can't be mad at somebody for doing what they feel is best for them. It's the same way Roach feels Tank is the best option for him. Same way that Stevenson thinks Tank's the best option for him, or all this stuff, right? At the end of it, bro, we just want to do what's best for ourselves, right?
Facts.
Right or wrong?
Facts.
So just do what's best for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, me personally, it don't matter what my opinion is, but I don't think get the money while you can get the money is my opinion. But some fans are going to have a hard time.
No, it's not
with
even
it.
about the money, though, man. It's regardless of anything, yeah, get the money when you can get the money, but it's not even about the money. There's so much more to this sport in this world than just money, man. It's just do whatever you feel.
The tension escalated when highlight clips rolled in the background, Davis dropping Ryan Garcia with that brutal body shot, Jake Paul knocking down Nate Diaz and Tyron Woodley, each moment met with verbal jabs from the other side of the table. Davis smirked during Paul's highlights, muttering, "That's not real smoke," while Jake, during Davis's knockouts, joked, "Those guys were half my size."
His money, but let's all be clear that that's all the fight is for Tank. He's telling you without telling you that he's fighting Jake just because he's getting $40 million. So when we talk about boxing being dead, Tank has to line up at the front of the line. I can't blame him, but don't throw around, "Oh, boxing's dead," and people switch sides and all of that. You chose not to be great. That's it. You chose not to be great. Stuff like that, choices like that will kill boxing. For sure. On a competitive level, it won't kill it on a business level. On a business level, until people run out of interest in these kind of matchups, it'll do well. On a competitive level, choosing not to fight the best will kill the sport. So maybe it's better if people like Tank aren't in the sport. And I don't even say that because I want that to be the case. I think Tank is ridiculously talented, but you can't want a fighter to fight more than what they want to. You can't. Tank fans or Tank people that like Tank and think he's one of the best, you can't want it for him. And then Shakur came back with, "That's how I know you soft. I can't even go back and forth with you soft ass. You rather pop to me on social media than get in that fire and get embarrassed. I get it. Peace and blessings upon you, cuz." He says, "The people got you chest out so bad. You talking like you a killer, forgetting that you the one that runs, bitch. I'll be bring the fight to you. This dude, a made-up character. Quote, blessings upon you. Clown-ass dude, wanna be Kevin Gates." Oh my goodness. I mean, here's the thing though. You can't say that stuff about Shakur if you're not willing to fight him. This is the point I think that we're going to come to today, is that Tank can say all this stuff he wants, but if you're not willing to fight Shakur, then none of it means anything anymore. Even if you believe that Tank is going to knock him out, even if you believe that Shakur's a runner, or that he's not in the trenches, or he's not a boxer that's willing to bring the fight, or whatever, none of it matters. You're talking from the sideline because you won't fight him. What does that say about Tank? If you talk all that stuff, you better.
The audience in the studio gasped and laughed as the two traded words, but behind the entertainment, it was clear that both men believed in their own reality. The host pressed further, asking what a victory would mean for each. Davis leaned in, his tone icy. It's another name, another night, another body on the list.
I personally think has been checked out for way longer than this last fight. I think he was checked out prior to the Roach fight. I thought this was all going to be in the works where he was supposed to beat the 16-1 Roach and then go on to fight Jake Paul and then call it a career, because I think the people around him understood there wasn't much left in the tank for him in terms of his want or his desire to be here. He did an interview with Dan Canobio about 18 months ago where he was like, yeah, man, I just kind of want to raise my family. I don't know how much left of boxing for me. I don't want to see a therapist. I want to, I need to, but like I don't want to take away from my fighting. But I think it's time for me to do stuff like that. So I think the writing's been on the wall for Tank for a while. So that draw was kind of just like, I was on the way out anyway. I don't need to go back in there. And I said it at the end of that fight. I'm like, there's no way we see that rematch. He was so uncomfortable in that ring with Roach. He doesn't want to feel that again. He showed that night. So I'm not surprised that fight's not happening.
He's talking like he's built for this, but when you get hit for real, everything changes. Paul didn't flinch. He fired back. I've been hit, I've been dropped, I've been doubted my whole career, and I'm still here. Everyone I fought thought it was easy until I landed. That exchange summed up the night, the veteran of chaos versus the newcomer of controversy. Cameras cut between slow-motion promos of their training, both fighters pushing through exhaustion, sweat flying off their bodies as their coaches shouted commands. The production, typical of Netflix's all-access standard, gave the episode a cinematic tone, crisp visuals, emotional music, and behind-the-scenes footage showing both fighters as human beings beneath the bravado. Davis's scenes showed him with his daughter, quietly reflecting on his journey from the streets of Baltimore to global superstardom, emphasizing how boxing saved his life. Jake's footage, in contrast, showcased his relentless business grind, promoting, training, podcasting, and living under constant public scrutiny, highlighting how his hustle created his empire. When the face-to-face interview resumed, the interviewer brought up Mike Tyson's recent comments praising both fighters for bringing energy back into boxing. Davis agreed, saying, "We're giving fans something to care about again," while Jake added, "It's not just boxing anymore, it's culture, it's movement." The conversation then turned heated again when Davis questioned Jake's legitimacy, saying, "You ain't fought nobody in my league," and Jake snapped back, "That's why I'm fighting you now, champ." Their words cut through the air like punches, and as the segment neared its end, the host tried to keep the two from standing up as they leaned forward, voices rising. Davis warned, "You're going to find out what real power feels like," while Jake replied, "And you're going to find out what happens when a disruptor changes the game." The intensity was so palpable that even the security on set looked ready to intervene. The episode ended with a dramatic stare-down, both men standing, inches apart, no smiles, no handshake, just pure animosity and mutual respect buried under ego. The closing montage rolled with slow-motion training clips, fans chanting, and voiceovers from boxing legends giving their takes on the fight, some saying Davis's experience would be too much, others suggesting Paul's size and momentum could lead to an upset. The final moments featured the fight date flashing on screen as the words, "History will be made," appeared in bold red letters, with the camera fading out on their cold, locked eyes. The internet exploded after the episode dropped, millions of views within hours, fans debating whether Jake had finally met his match or if Davis underestimated the power of the influencer-turned-fighter. Social media buzzed with reaction videos, memes, and fiery takes from boxing pundits. Regardless of which side you stood on, one thing was clear: All Access, Jake Paul vs. Gervonta Davis face-to-face, wasn't just another pre-fight interview, it was a cultural spectacle, a glimpse into two men driven by different motivations but bound by the same hunger for greatness. The raw emotion, the psychological warfare, and the cinematic storytelling made it feel less like a sports promo and more like a moment in boxing history where tradition met disruption head-on. The face-to-face didn't just preview a fight, it ignited a movement, leaving fans counting down the days until Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul finally settle their rivalry inside the ring.